we'll fight other things, and we're going to be friends for a long, long period of time.
نصل لمرحلة انك انت تمس نقطة مية من مصر، لأن الخيارات كلها مفتوحة، الخيارات كلها مفتوحة.
Are startling new revelations from those leaked intelligence documents. It shows Egyptian President El-Sisi secretly planning to supply rockets to Russia, ordering production of 40,000 rockets and instructing officials to keep the production and shipments secret to, quote, avoid any problems with the West.
This is how the world sees Egypt, an ancient civilization that offers majestic monuments of the pharaohs, incredible museums, and a slice of history witnessed through Cairo's narrow streets. In reality, Egypt is going through an unbelievable transformation that will replace its ancient tombs and cemeteries with glitzy new infrastructure. The country is reconstructing its global image and is quietly preparing to become the next major global power. Egypt is building a $59 billion new capital, modernizing its military, and embarking on mega projects that may just give it a seat among the big boys of the international system. However, this ambitious push comes with one caveat. There's still a huge structural problem to address, a problem that can derail Egypt from recapturing its fallen grandeur. This is the story of Egypt's impending rise, and it starts with perhaps the most ambitious construction project of this century. 45 kilometers to the east of Cairo, Egypt is on the verge of completing a new administrative capital from scratch. With 20 million residents navigating every day through its congested streets, the old capital, Cairo, has reached its infrastructural limits. Getting around in Cairo can be incredibly frustrating amid all the pollution and traffic gridlocks. Egypt's answer to these problems was building a city the size of Singapore that will eventually house 7 million residents. Moving away from Egypt's classical image, the new capital will have all the essentials of the modern world. Plans include an international airport bigger than London's Heathrow, solar energy farms, schools, and hospitals, all connected by a 10,000-kilometer network of new roads. The city already boasts Africa's tallest skyscraper, the 394-meter-tall iconic tower. A crystal pyramid and a disc-shaped palace for the president are yet to come. With an estimated cost of $59 billion, this new city is being tipped to herald a new era of employment opportunities and economic stability in the country. To raise its profile as a global metropolis, Egypt will bid to become the first African nation to host the Olympics, and will also look to win rights for the FIFA World Cup in the future. The new capital is being tipped to herald a new era of economic opportunity, while also elevating Egypt's profile in the world. Talking of Egypt's profile in the world, the one thing that automatically raises it is Egypt's location. Egypt is essentially located at the crossroads of the world, making it a hub for trade routes between Africa, Europe, and Asia. Coastlines on the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea are great luxuries to have. This location allows Egypt to be a part of multiple regional platforms at the same time. Proximity to European markets has its own benefits, as it makes Egypt an attractive option for foreign investments. This is exactly why Egypt will attract over $10 billion in foreign direct investments in 2023. Egypt's positioning gives it a solid platform to make a big leap, but this geographical advantage becomes all the more significant when you know that Egypt owns one of the most important waterways in the world. Egypt got ownership of the Suez Canal in 1956. Today, it is responsible for 12% of the global trade and has become a strategically important choke point. In effect, Egypt controls a considerable chunk of world trade. The importance of the Suez Canal was laid bare in 2021 when the 400-meter-long vessel got stuck, causing an international blockade. That week-long debacle held up about $10 billion of global trade every day. Egypt has done extremely well in leveraging the most important shipping route in the world. In 2015, Egypt launched the new Suez Canal project, an expansion project that involved digging a new parallel canal alongside the 190-kilometer-long existing one. The project was completed in record time and continues to pay dividends for the Egyptian economy. After the expansion, Egypt expects a 259% increase in revenues through the Suez Canal. In 2022, the waterway generated close to $22 million every day, culminating in $8 billion of annual income. Egypt is on track to make even more this year, with revenues topping the $13 billion mark by 2030. Investments are flowing into the region, with the government now creating special economic zones around the canal, making it an even more appealing global logistics hub. With continued investment, Egypt will ensure that the world continues to depend on the Northeast African nation for years to come. Leveraging its location, the Egyptian economy has made significant gains in recent years. While the situation is precarious at the moment, Egypt made great progress before the pandemic hit. In 5 decades, from 1970 to 2020, the country's GDP quadrupled per person. With that increase came new employment opportunities and a thriving middle class. During that same period, only 15 world economies achieved faster growth. Egypt's progress was hampered during the Arab Spring of 2011, a wave of protests that brought down dictator Hosni Mubarak, ushered in an era of political instability. However, some order was restored after the controversial election of military man Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. From the start of el-Sisi's rule to the point of the COVID-19 pandemic, Egypt overtook the economies of Algeria, Jordan, and Tunisia. It is also on the verge of becoming the largest economy in Africa, now sitting on par with Nigeria. Through all the troubles and progress, Egypt also managed to increase life expectancy in the country by 21 years. This has also led to a population increase, and Egypt now represents almost 23% of the population of the Arab world. While this can be seen as a headache, utilizing 110 million people remains key for Egypt to fulfill its global ambitions. Since the pandemic, however, Egypt is suffering along with many economies of the West. The negative impacts of the Ukraine war have also contributed to the negative outcomes in recent years. However, a growth of close to 5% is a good enough result in this outstanding situation. This brings us to the state of the Egyptian military, one of the key components of any country's claim to becoming a global power. Now, if you haven't hit that like button yet, be sure to do so now. Over the last decade, Egypt has quietly focused on a military buildup. However, none of Egypt's neighboring countries pose any attacking threat. An arms buildup then points to global ambitions. A push towards military modernization comes directly from President el-Sisi, who has previously expressed a desire to make Egypt great again. Under el-Sisi's leadership, Egypt has modernized its military, purchased sophisticated weapons, and opened new bases across the nation. According to Global Firepower, a website dedicated to military affairs, Egypt ranks as the 14th strongest army globally and the first in the Arab world. During the last decade, el-Sisi has granted the acquisition of 387 M1 Abrams tanks and 762 mine-resistant, ambush-protected armored trucks. He has also struck a $1 billion deal for an advanced anti-aircraft system and a $2 billion deal for 50 MiG-29 twin-engine fighter jets. Just months ago, Boeing was awarded a contract to remanufacture 25 units of the latest Apache attack helicopters for the Egyptian Air Force. The naval forces have also been boosted with German-made artillery, including submarines and naval vessels. Egypt is building 3 new maritime bases in 3 strategic directions, giving the Egyptian Navy a greater presence in regional seas. On the international front, Sisi is finding new strategic partners in France, Germany, and China. With billions already invested in Egypt's infrastructure, China is a willing partner, happy to assist Egypt in its move toward military modernization. Egypt's rapid progress in the military sphere is mostly down to a government effectively controlled by the military. And herein lies the biggest problem for the growing nation. After the ouster of Mohamed Morsi, many in Egypt accepted that a strongman rule was better for the country than democracy. And this held true for many years, as Egypt found political stability and forged a path toward economic progress. However, as years have passed, the military has tightened its grip over all facets of the economy, from building the country's infrastructure to making policies regarding government mega-projects. The military is micromanaging the economy. This tightened grip is keeping many foreign investors away from the country. Most notable of the military's involvements can be witnessed in the country's new capital. It will feature the Octagon, a military complex on the edge of the new capital, which is 7 times as large as the Pentagon. El-Sisi has now been in power for 10 years, and a constitutional amendment can take his rule beyond 2030. This might breed contempt among the people, who have already started to show signs of discontent, despite the draconian rules. The Egyptian military has indeed been at the center of the country's politics since 1952. Successive governments have been formed through direct or indirect intervention of the armed forces. However, this could be a critical juncture in the country's history, because a global leap for Egypt may only materialize with a strong representative government at the helm. But what do you think of Egypt's quiet progress? Will they be able to harness their unbelievable potential and emerge as the next big global power? Let us know in the comments below. For more interesting documentaries from around the world, keep watching Interesting Flow.